I see.
This is the traditional and unceded Coast Salish territories of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Squamish peoples. And we're very fortunate today to be here with you to present the second incarnation of Surviving Samsara. My name is Yenju Chang, and I'm from Sinevolution Media Arts Society. We're a small film and media arts organization based in Richmond with a mandate to challenge convention, connect cultures, and cultivate creativity. So for the past year, our team has worked closely with the artist Kagan Go and artistic director, co-writer, and director Scott Swan to develop Surviving Samsara into a production for theater. And you're here today because you're part of our network of supporters, friends, and family whose opinion we really value and cherish. You know, as we continue to progress with this work and to take it into the next phase of development, we're looking for your feedback, your suggestions, what worked well, what we could do better, and perhaps even, you know, potential partnership opportunities, funding opportunities that you know of and think we should pursue. Before I turn the stage over to Kagan and Scott and the cast, I would like to thank and acknowledge our sponsors, without whom this production would not be possible. So first and foremost, the City of Vancouver Cultural Grants, who gave us the first pot of money to bring this phase of the production into being. The Metro Vancouver Cultural Grants, the Kettle Friendship Society, as well as the Vancouver Foundation Downtown Eastside Small Arts Grants. So thank you very much to our sponsors for making this work possible. We're extremely grateful, and thank you to all of you for being here to share the space with us. And now I'll hand the stage over to Scott.
Thanks, Yenju, and thanks, Mina, for everything, for your thoughtfulness and your hard work. Without the two of them, we would be sitting somewhere at the back of a very dim-lit cafe, thinking about the possibility of perhaps maybe taking an opportunity to begin to consider doing this. But in fact, through their incredible diligence and hard work, we're able to bring it to this phase, which is wonderful. So thank you for your work, and thank you for your support so far. And thank you again for coming out on a really miserable Vancouver night. Greatly appreciated. I'm just going to introduce the cast to you, and then I'm going to speak very briefly about what it is that you're going to see this evening. This is Cheryl Swan. She is a professional actor and director and an instructor in theater at the post-secondary level. Alan Lascelles, who is a professional actor and director and writer, and also an instructor in theater at the post-secondary level. One of our creative team can't be here this evening, Jordan Dallard-Coltman. Jordan is a filmmaker, a writer, a director, a producer, and editor. Jordan and his wife Larisse had a baby last week, so the wide scope of Jordan's vision in the world has been narrowed to 3 basic subjects: food, sleep, and poop. I'm Scott Swan. I'm an artistic director, writer, actor, the director of this piece, and a contributing writer to the piece. And this is Kagan Go. Kagan is a novelist, filmmaker, director, and spoken word poet. And Surviving Samsara is based on Kagan's experiences. Samsara is an unusual word. Not a lot of people know what it means. Probably the best way to understand it is the tumult of the world, the kind of tempest that occurs in our daily lives, when we swing from high to low, from joy to despair, from exhilaration to depression, and from reality to illusion and delusion. and back again. It's something that we all experience all the time in our lives to a greater or lesser degree. Surviving samsara explores those tempests from the point of view in the body and mind of someone who's living with bipolar disorder. And we approach that in two very simple theatrical ways. Storytelling, Kagan sharing his stories with you, and by immersion, these audio, visual, musical pieces that Jordan has put together that place us inside the mind of someone experiencing an episode like that. As you know, this is a stage reading, a work in progress. You might want to think of it as a kind of photograph on the way to becoming an oil painting, sort of where we are with the work at the moment. And it will involve your imagination. For example, we think that probably 20 or more of these experiential involvements with music and light and sound will take place in the piece. Jordan has created 3 that will serve as benchmarks and templates for the work in the future. And for the ones that will be in the script that are not produced yet, I will try to read it obtrusively where they might be and how they might fit within the narrative. And the characters that Cheryl and Alan play at the moment are conceived of being in that audio-visual world and not live on stage, as they are at the moment. We've chosen to produce this at this moment, at this time, in this way, because we believe in what the play has to say about the state of mental illness in the province, about the services that are provided for it, and about the difficulties of living with a mental illness, but also because experiencing something like this is not for the faint of heart, but it also perhaps may open a doorway to another octave of existence that most of us don't get to experience. The piece lasts about 1 hour and 5 minutes, and then we'd love to have a discussion with you if you would like to stay for a few minutes about what you've experienced, and then join us in the lobby for a glass of wine and a chunk of cheese, and we could talk a little bit more about it if that works for you. Thank you again for being here, and ladies and gentlemen, surviving samsara.
Yeah, welcome to my world. I mean, not all my world, not at all. I mean, I'm married, have a job, friends, purpose. But that, or something like that, actually something a hell of a lot worse than that, is what lurks just under the permeable membrane of my mind, subdued by psychopharmaceuticals and therapy. But there, waiting to just overload and short-circuit my brain. Remember Cypress Hill? Insane in the membrane, insane in the brain. So naturally I'm a little hyper-aware a good part of the times. I mean, any infinitesimal shift in my perception or cognitive awareness, and immediately I'm convinced I'm about to lift off or fall into the tar pit. Think of it like this: if you've ever had any physical illness, a heart problem, let's say, then any subtle shifting in the strength or rhythm of your heartbeat, the voice in your head goes, "Oh fuck," and your fingers start dialing 911, right? So, who am I? Well, my name is Kagan Go and I'm an MD. No, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a certified manic depressive. You see, when my my real medical doctor told me I had an incurable illness that would last my whole life, I decided there and then that I would become a professional manic depressive. My job is to educate people about what that's like. So here I am, your own personal, professional, manic depressive at your service. What would you like to know? You'll be living vicariously through me, your avatar, a Singapore-born Chinese-Canadian bipolar manic depressive heterosexual male named Kagan, also known as Super Bipolar Man, able to swing from highs to lows, from mania to psychosis to depression and back again, right before your very eyes. So, buckle up. Fun, huh? Since my diagnosis in '93, I've had several manic, psychotic, or depressive episodes. And I find the term episode really interesting because my episodes are a lot like television episodes. Every television episode is a theme and a moral to the story and a lesson to be learned. Well, my episodes all have themes or morals and lessons that I'm meant to learn through the experience of this crazy wisdom. Let me give you an example. Haven't slept for several days. A bad sign because 3 nights of insomnia trigger my psychotic episodes. I'm a junkie jonesing for a fresh fix of dreams to ease my jagged nerves. I pray for sleep to descend upon me like a monsoon rain, but my soul is a drought-stricken desert. The electric razor shaves close to my scalp. Clumps of hair fall on the floor. I want to sever my past, erase my identity. I examine my reflection in the mirror. Feeling my bald scalp, I look like a Buddhist monk on a mission of redemption. My eyes are bloodshot. I'm a zombie, dreaming with eyes wide open, unable to tell the difference between reality or delusion. I search in vain for an exit, only to find myself trapped in the Escher-like maze of my mind. I'm filled with such profound sadness I can't sleep. I'm afraid to sleep because I can't afford to miss out on all this precious living I have to do. If I switch my mind off tonight, can I trust God to switch me back on tomorrow? I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of letting go. I can't slow my thoughts down. My mind is speeding through all the red traffic lights of reason. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. In the slippery yoke between sleep and consciousness, I feel a feline presence, black sheen of a coat shimmering, crawling delicately paw by paw over me. It feels the size of a black panther. I look up, but Tarim, my cat, isn't there.
Music and sound under this.
Okay, this sounds strange coming from my lips. But an angel made love to me. I'm bathed in a warm, all-embracing, vibrating, shimmering light. Angels neither male nor female, but both, a hermaphrodite. I can feel the angel's heart beat through me as she penetrates my perineum. My eyes well up with tears as the most beautiful music fills my ears. It is the music of the spheres. The angel enfolds me in its wings. I am bathed in a warm, all-embracing, vibrating light. My body pulsates with a love so intense that pure naked ecstasy courses to my body, illuminating my soul. I weep as a river of tears. I cry, I don't belong. The angel sleeps on my chest, paw outstretched toward my face and whispers in my ear, but I am my own worst enemy. I hold on to the guilt of sins of days gone past, afraid that karmic retribution will strike me down, or worse still, my yet unborn children will inherit my karmic debts. I won't forgive myself. I unclench my fists, unhand my fears, and let go into the unknown. Bliss lingers for a fleeting moment, then the angel's wings take flight, lifting the heaviness that plagues me. My feelings are so buoyant, I float upwards towards the ceiling. I'm really scared, but I'm trying to decipher what I'm supposed to learn from all of this. And then it hits me. Some days I have to remember, God is not here to fuck me over.
Music and sound up.
A few days later, after I've descended from some form of reality, I'm sent to see a new family doctor, Dr. Barriers, ironic name, huh? I tell her about my experience with the angel. She dismisses it as a common experience.
Kagan, it's called parasomnia, a hallucinatory state between dream and awakening, the conscious and the unconscious.
It's a lucid state I call dream time.
It's quite a common experience.
To be made love to by an angel of pure light is a common experience? Okay, cool. More people deserve to be touched and made love to by angels. She gives me an envelope with sleeping pills to combat my insomnia. She asks me to come back weekly for she wants to monitor me.
I'd just like to keep an eye on you.
Keep an eye on me? Who the hell does she think she is, my probation officer? I know where she's coming from. I've heard that voice of reason before. It's the tyranny of the rational mind. So, if I'm not normal, what am I? I mean, who the hell wants to be normal anyway? Normal is boring. I've tried to be normal. Put up blinkers and walk the straight line, staring at the pavement in front of me, shunning the magic and the beckoning lights. And God, I miss the magic. When I'm medicated, I'm like a somnambulist sleepwalking through the rest of my living and undying days. So you know what, Dr. Barriers? I refuse to have my spiritual beliefs desecrated, my illuminations belittled as hallucinations, and pumped full of drugs which make me sleep my life away. I am happy to be crazy, unrepentantly crazy in love of this life.
You know, your persecutory delusions, they may be because of some special relationship or attribute that you believe you possess. Maybe involving God or some other religious figure.
Am I touched by God or simply deluded?
It's called loss of insight.
But for the first time in a long time, I'm finally beginning to trust my intuition.
Kagan, that's very dangerous.
Okay, but who can I trust if I can't even trust my own intuition? I mean, if my reality is untrustworthy, how can I learn to be trusting?
I'm sorry. Our time's up.
I'm sad inside, broken. Once again, I feel like I don't belong. Why did God's sweet angel impregnate me with a belly full of poems, only to slap me in the face of the harshness of reality? I mean, what am I supposed to do? If I tell my strength, my spiritual experiences, they'll put me in a straitjacket, lock me in a padded cell, and throw away the key. But maybe it is true. Maybe I am really crazy. I mean, if you speak to God, it's called praying. If God speaks to you, you're fucking nuts. No, I refuse to amputate my soul to fit into your hole. I want out! Well, maybe not that far out. I mean, could we just dial it down a bit, please? Hello, you, the one who's in charge up there. Could we just scale it back a little, please?
The images begin to flash on the screen and the ominous click of the roller coaster begins to build.
Okay.
The sound effects of the roller coaster and the images fade out.
Anyway, as I was saying, I'm a professional manic depressive. Yeah, it's good work, it's a great job. And I'm really good at it. But the pay fucking sucks. I mean, you know, there's not a lot you can buy on $0 a week. So, I'm applying for disability benefits for the very first time. I have manic depression, I say to the worker who's processing my file, but all he sees is a young man trying to get a free ride, another welfare bum trying to scam the system.
Hey, give me your wallet.
Not knowing whether I have a choice, I hand it to him. Later, I find out he had no right to ask this. He refers to my bills, receipts, Canadian citizenship card, and bank card like a dealer shuffling a fixed pack of cards in a game called Liar. I'm losing big time.
What's this?
Oh,
A bank card?
Oh, that belongs to my girlfriend Daniela. I'm running an errand for her.
No, you live together? Well, then you're common law. You're not eligible for welfare.
When I tell Daniela the bad news, she flips.
I am not going to support an invalid for the rest of my life.
An invalid? What the fuck are you saying? An invalid?
Images pulse and scatter on the screen, and the roller coaster behind again.
No, wait!
They die away.
Years later, she apologized for what she said. I can forgive, but never forget. I live a few blocks from the welfare office, and a lot of times on my way home from looking for work, I see the asshole, his name is Mike, sitting on the stairs smoking a cigarette. He's playing this game. I can see him. He's sitting there, picking out the riffraff and useless welfare bums amongst the respectable, hard-working, tax-paying citizens. I can feel his eyes on me as I walk by, and it's really clear what he thinks, so, you know, I get really self-conscious. I try not to look like I'm having too much fun. I do the welfare slouch. My body language says, woe is me, believing welfare bums have absolutely no right or excuse to be cheerful. Mike is a dog, a little fluffy, yappy dog. And I guess as much as I try to demonize this man, he must have some humanity if he loves his yappy dog, loves his dog, hates people. I fantasize about taking the dog and drop kicking the little fucker like a football over the welfare office. Ha! Maybe then he'll believe I'm manic depressive.
Whoa, watch out for him. He's completely crazy. Quick, give him his welfare check.
3 days later, I'm standing on the rooftop patio of my parents' apartment in the new millennium. I feel like I haven't slept for a century. I'm 30 but feel like I'm 1,000 years old, dying to sleep, chloroform myself into oblivion, while the rest of the world is busy at work. I'm staring across the skyline at the grey cityscape, lost in the haze of pollution, listening to the city drone. Oh.
Music. Under.
A little whiles away, a new house is being erected. I see it day by day, piece by piece, plank by plank from the foundation up to the roof. The new model house for the 21st century. It dominates the smaller, older houses, reminding me I'll never own my own home, have a family, a wife, and kids like normal people.
Visuals and sound effects of the city, distorted and frightening, fade in. Under.
And then I see an escalator descending and ascending from heaven. The cogwheels turn and they churn in a manner of productivity, and I'm not riding on it, and I'm not riding on it. The cast iron heart of the city pounds, ka-chunk, 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 driving a million iron nails into my head as the day grinds away, oblivious to my existence. All I hear is the sound of construction, drilling, hammering, buzzing, sawing. Vultures circle, casting shadows over me, waiting for me to cave in. But I'm not done living yet! I shut my ears, but it's coming from inside my head. The voices of the city mocking me.
Get a job.
Get a job.
You useless welfare bum.
Leech.
Freeloader.
Get off your lazy ass and work.
I stumble, nearly fall down the stairs. Opening the door, the day is blindingly cheerful. I stagger like a drunk down the back alley towards that house. I'm not gonna be beaten down. I won't be defeated. God's thick finger whacks me and whacks me and whacks me, tossing me around like a helpless puppet. He is a merciless drill sergeant barking in my ear.
Idle hands are the work of the devil.
The bastard's doing this to make me strong. I'll show him. I march towards the construction site looking for the foreman. Rolling up my sleeves, I demand, give me a job, your hardest job. I'll slave and sweat harder than 1,000 men. Give me a job, I won't take no for an answer. Give me back my life! I hear a meow. I turn and I see my angel cat Tarim. An iridescent shaft of light pierces my soul. She's in a panic, running to me, coming to save me. She rubs against me, hungry for affection, shaking with fear and terror.
Come back! Don't leave me alone in that crazy house!
She rubs and rubs against me until gradually I feel the numbness give way, and slowly, Shanti, Shanti, hush, hush, shh, shh. Slowly I feel human again.
Visuals and sound fading and out.
I pick her up and hug her fiercely. I'm a balloon flapping in the wind. She is my anchor. I can feel her heart beating as I turn and walk back home. She's holding on to me and won't let me go.
Music fades in. Photos of Kagan and Daniela appear on the screen.
A month later, Daniela is packing her bags. She's leaving, wanting a better life than the one I can offer her. A life in which she doesn't have to support an invalid. I don't blame her. If I had the choice, I'd leave myself as well. But I have to live the life that I'm stuck with. The thing you have to know about Daniela is that she has perfect timing. Yeah, she's in sync with the universe. It's Valentine's Day, and her final words to me are,
I want to be young, but with you I feel old.
Music and visuals of fading out. Under.
the love that I love walks out the door. She doesn't want to be with me anymore. She's going. She's going. She's gone.
Music and visuals out.
As you can imagine, this does not go well for me.
Sound effects and visuals. Images spatter on the screen. Music screeching. And above the sound,
Hang on! Hang on!
sound effects and visuals down, but linger, flicker, and pulse under the following.
2 weeks later, I'm writing with a vengeance as if my salvation depends on it. I'm God's glorified secretary, pounding on the keys of my computer like Thelonious Monk. I've crashed 4 computers. I'm writing by hand. I'm suffering from the opposite of writer's block. Strange things are happening. I lose my sleeping pills and I search everywhere for them. Then my watch disappears too. I know it's in the room. I can hear it beep every change of the hour. But for the life of me, I can't find it. My intuition, my suspicion is the angels took my pills because I have work to do. My muse is working me to the bone. I'm dying for a break from all this inspiration. I welcome a dry spell. Writer's block sounds like a holiday. My father comments on my hyperproductivity. He says, Kagan, if you carry on like this, you'll write your whole life story in 2 weeks. And that is exactly what I want, to lay everything down as honestly and truthfully as possible, using up 100,000 pens, draining oceans of ink until I arrive finally at a blank page. My pen out of ink, my thoughts migrated, my muse retired, my mind a blank expanse of emptiness. Enlightenment is blissful silence, non-existence, nothingness. I need a safe haven from God's relentless gift of creativity. In a vast expanse of whiteness, a desert devoid of words, I can live again without leaving footprints on the sand which turn into, as a close friend of mine once told me, words, words, words. I want to be on a desert island, stranded far away from the shores of my literary ambitions. I look up, the sun glares like God's naked eyeball. His pupil dilates, taking in everything. My blood-red heart is on fire. I'm writing so furiously, my pen breaks and cuts my finger. Blood spills on the scrap piece of paper I find in the garbage can. I use it to write a poem with my index finger. I laugh at the thought. I'm a blood poet. I write, "Oh, pen, open." My pen is my sword, my muse the Lord. Dressed in my own words, I disrobe, embracing silence. I stand back to appraise the handiwork of my calligraphy as the blood dries on the page. God wipes a lipstick smear across the face of the evening sky.
Sound effects and visuals fading, pulsing more slowly during this.
An elderly Chinese woman practices a Tai Chi nearby, and her fluid movements begin to calm my soul, infusing me with the first traces of tranquility. I need to calm my raging heart fire, or it will consume me. Cultivate gentle, loving kindness towards myself. Wade into cool blue evening waters to meet my mirror image and soak my open wounds. I want to submerge my sorrows, disappear beneath the surface without a trace. Finally, I walk across the bridge, crossing the great divide. My fears subside. I close my eyes as I hear the celestial song of a lullaby. My guardian angel descends from heaven, wings beating an invisible wind, so silently I almost do not detect her arrival. The angel lands gently upon me, bathing me in a golden aura. I feel the angel's heart beat against mine. Soon our heartbeats synchronize, beating to the rhythm of God. Cradled safely in the angel's arms, I dream myself to sleep.
Sound effects and visuals up.
So you wanna guess what happens next? That's right, folks, it's off to the loony bin.
Music, sound effects, and visuals of manic and psychotic episodes pulse and flicker under this.
I'm sitting in the back seat as my parents are driving me to St. Paul's Hospital. Again, this is the 5th time in 4 years. I've committed no crime, but I feel like a repeat offender.
Visual of mom and dad.
Mom, Dad, I'm fine, I'm not sick, I don't want to go to hospital. For a second, I think of flinging the door open and running away, beating the tarmac, retreating to the streets where so many of my brothers and sisters with mental illness live in poverty. Another street kid living on the skids. But I stay, resisting the itch to run, for it would break my parents' hearts. At St. Paul's emergency ward, I go through the routine of checking myself in as a voluntary patient. Reluctantly, my parents leave, hiding their grief as best they can until the exit doors swing closed at last. Dr. Barrios greets me.
Kagan, I'm sorry. Please take him to the quiet room.
Music, sound effects, and visuals intensify during the following.
I'm locked in, trapped. There's no way out. Alone, in solitary confinement, my tranquility evaporates and my paranoia begins to escalate as I watch a surveillance camera monitor my every move. The quiet room is a windowless concrete room with impenetrable walls. Not even my thoughts can escape. There's a hidden video camera that reminds me of the fisheye lens of hell from 2001. Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer due. I'm half crazy, all for the love of you. Dave, I'm losing my mind, Dave. A menacing omnipresence observes my every action. I'm doomed. I try in vain to slow down my mind. My thoughts bounce off the wall like a metal ball in a pinball machine. I want to ram my head against the concrete wall to silence the violence within. My mind uncoils and unravels like a broken watch. I slam my head against the concrete wall to stop the throbbing migraine. It is driving me insane. I bang, bang, bang my head against the wall to obliterate the pain. 2 male nurses rush in and put me in restraints. I struggle as they place me on a stretcher and strap me into a straitjacket. Let me go, I need to pee. They leave. The stainless steel toilet is a few feet away, but I'm strapped to my bed, unable to move. About 10 minutes later, a male janitor enters my cell. He mops the floor and wipes the stainless steel toilet clean with a rag. His movements are quick and nervous, as if he's cleaning a lion's cage. Please, for the life of God, I need to go to the toilet. He is so near, I can smell his fear. I wonder if he's ever been attacked by a patient. My bladder is bursting. I urgently need to pee. I won't hurt you. I'm not dangerous. I'm a man, not an animal. Please, I just need to pee. Unstrap me and let me use the toilet. He leaves before I can utter another word. I end up wetting myself. Bastard, I hope you rot in hell. I break down crying. I'm ashamed and humiliated at pissing myself. One of the male nurses comes back to give me a shot to calm me down. I try to hide the wet yellow stains by drawing my legs together, but the restraints won't let me.
This'll help you sleep.
I feel a jab of a needle in my arm. Sleep? I don't want to sleep. I want to escape this nightmare. I want to go home. I can feel the murky darkness of the drug rising in me. I scream. I hold my breath. I thrash like a fish on a dock. Eventually, I surrender and let it overwhelm me.
Music, sound effects, and visuals fading and out.
I don't know how much time has passed since I regained consciousness. It could be an hour, a day, a week, for all I know. Eventually, after, I'm not sure how long, I get out. And after a month or so, I'm feeling better. I'm walking a lot, going to the gym, eating well, no booze, no weed. Did I mention that one of the joys of being me is that I have a phenomenally addictive personality? For instance, some possible symptoms of mania include uninhibited people seeking, extreme gregariousness, increased sex drive, promiscuity of many partners, hypersexuality without recognition or possibility of painful consequences. And although I'm so horny I could hump a fire hydrant if it was wearing a skirt, I recognize there are certain protocols in play here, certain procedures, certain things I need to accomplish if I want this to happen. So, I joined Plenty of Fish.
Visuals, pictures of a lot of women.
I spent hours creating my profile. I love and respect women, and I know they'll appreciate my honesty. So, I post a picture that looks like me.
Many of the women disappear.
I choose another picture, one that flatters me a little.
A picture that flatters Kagan a lot appears. Fewer women disappear.
Okay, now I need a strong opener. Anyone like Rumi?
Half the women disappear.
Okay, let's try this.
Reset. All the women reappear.
My name is Kagan.
Some women go.
I'm Chinese Canadian.
More women go.
I'm an artist.
Lots of women go.
I'm a romantic.
Some reappear, some disappear.
I'm warm.
More women appear.
I'm outgoing.
More.
Compassionate.
More.
And 100% genuine.
More. The screen's almost filled again.
And I'm bipolar.
They all disappear, but one. Kagan crosses to the screen, the stage manager.
Could you enhance that, please?
The picture enlarges and we see a beautiful, smiling woman.
This is Lori. We WhatsApp, send photos, talk on the phone, and finally we meet for coffee. She's beautiful, inside and out, funny, perceptive, and incredibly intelligent. And she's a spoken word poet. We talk for hours about everything. Eventually, buoyed by how well this is going, I say, "Why didn't you run away when you learned I was bipolar?" There's a long pause, and then she says,
Well, it's obvious you have issues, but frankly, if you got to know me better, you'll discover I have, as they say, a subscription.
The bill comes on a tray, and I remember earlier that night, I had bought takeout Chinese food from my parents, and had kept 2 fortune cookies as a treat for Laurie and I. I feel in my pocket only to discover that the fortune cookies have been crushed. I take the pile of crushed fortune cookies out of my pocket and plunk it on the table. Laurie looks at me with a shocked expression on her face while I read our fortunes out loud. We pay our bill and are about to leave when Laurie says,
You better take that with you, or you're going to offend the waitress when she takes the tip.
I wonder what she means when I look at the table and see amongst the crushed fortune cookies a condom still in its package. I had a condom in my pocket and had unwittingly pulled it out with the crushed fortune cookies. Laurie bursts into hysterical laughter. I turn a beet red. Then she says,
Hey, what are you doing tonight? I'm doing a set at Manner of Speaking at the Church of Pointless Hysteria. Want to come?
"This sounds like a church I can worship in."
There's a dress code. The more flamboyant, the better.
I dress in my silver cowboy outfit.
Picture of Kagan in his silver cowboy outfit appears.
I slip on my flashy silver pants, silver belt, silver shirt, silver jacket, and silver boots. I wear my silver cowboy hat with a blinking strobe crystal light where my third eye should be. I put on my Tibetan mandala necklace with variations on the sacred word Om. I aim to be as charming as a prince, so charming I'll make Laurie swoon. I switch on my strobe light in my hat and walk out into the night. As Laurie and I climb the stairs of the Church of Pointless Hysteria, we can hear the music and the voices exploding out into the night. Everyone is dressed in wild and exotic costumes. R.C. Wislowski walks around with his head inside a television set, speaking in tongues. A flamboyant character by the name of Fireman, dressed in a fiery red and yellow costume, is spontaneously splashing paint on a canvas. A hooded figure resembling death sits in a space-age time capsule, telling fortunes with a pack of tarot cards. When it comes to my turn for death to read my fortune, I already know what the card is before he turns it over. It is the death card. Laurie reassures me.
Death doesn't have to be a positive thing or a negative thing. I mean, it can be positive. Death can mean death of ego and needy attachments. Death is always followed by birth.
Laurie's the distillation of every love song I've ever dug. She's wearing my silver cowboy hat, his third eye blinking red and green like a manic stoplight. Klieg lights bathe her skin purple and orange. She's like a peeled plum glistening in the sun. Being with Laurie makes me so happy I want to run out of my skin, afraid to believe in love again. I'm summoned by a young woman who is smiling meaningfully at me to help move a set piece.
Can I steal him away from you?
I turn and look at Laurie and she says,
I don't own him.
I wish she did. But instead of feeling disappointed, I choose to see that she respects that I am free, as she is free. We are both free spirits. No one belongs to another. We belong to the wind. I'm having one of the best nights of my life when I finally summon up the courage to declare my feelings to Laurie. I love you, Laurie.
Hey, you know I love you too, Kagan, but I'm not attracted to you sexually. We're better off as friends than lovers. You're like the brother I never had. You're my soul brother from another mother.
My mind is screaming, fuck no, I want you. So I say, you know, you're right. It would be weird if you and I became lovers. It's better this way. You are like the sister I never had. We hug and kiss each other on the cheek. Laurie's off on a different trajectory from me. I celebrate a solo flight and watch her soar free. Later, as the sun is struggling to break through the clouds, she pedals off into the distance. I shout after her, Laurie, hallelujah! Her arms wave gracefully in the early light. She turns the corner and disappears. The moment she's gone, I feel a deep sadness and pen her this poem.
Music fades up.
Open arms. Hurt is a four-letter word. Tonight, Laurie, you told me the saddest story about your boyfriend, the one you were going to marry, to be his wedded wife for life. But up ahead, all you saw was a sprawling suburb of strife. Said, this is not for me. I'm a bird that needs to be free. You broke off the engagement. As you prepared to fly the nest, he flew into a rage when you told him, your love can't fly in a cage. He hit the roof when he found you in bed with someone else instead. He beat you so bad, you needed stitches, yet you found the courage to call the cops and press charges. I want to hold and console you, feeling your pain as if you had punched the life force out of me instead. To know somebody could hurt you makes me feel sad. It makes me mad that you've been hurt. What kind of lover throws flowers in the ditch? One day you're his fiancé, the next day you're his bitch. I'm no macho man, no disciple of punishment, no prophet of pain, no knight in shining armor, all chivalrous and brave. But if I could, I'd go back in time, not seek revenge or play the martyr, but I'm willing to barter my soul to take your place, so you won't have a bruise or scar on your beautiful face. I take every punch in your place. Not that you need protection, for Laurie, you are stronger than any fist that ever hit you. If I could, I'd kiss every black bruise away, drink in your tears, for you are divine. For your joys are my joys, your sorrows mine. If I was a miracle healer, I'd lay my gentle hands upon you, and unhand every hand that's ever laid a hand upon you. I'd seal your open wounds closed, like a door you'll never ever have to enter again, for there are better doors awaiting for you. I adore you. If you ever choose to fly away, I'd be happy to see you find your way. Though in my selfish heart I'd wish you'd stay. But if you choose to walk to my door, I promise I'll love you forevermore. And together we'll build a love nest, a place where we can tend our acre of happiness. Know beyond the shadow of a doubt, in our happy home, we will always invite love in and shut hurt out. The only 4-letter words you'll ever hear from me is, I love you, Laurie, truly I do.
Music fades and out.
I'm filled with such profound sadness, I can't sleep.
Music, visuals, and sound effects fade in.
I'm in deep trouble.
Images of anxious, reclusive, depressive episodes growing under.
Alone, holed up in self-imposed exile, I've entered a state of isolation so extreme I've lost all sense of time. All I know is that it is around the Christmas holidays. My parents left me behind on Christmas Eve as they went for a holiday to Mexico. No, not left. More so fled for their sanity, for I was on the verge of a psychotic episode, and they didn't want to be swept away by the undercurrent of my oncoming madness. I purposely choose to spend Christmas alone this year in prayer and meditation, instead of celebrating it with friends and family, spending quality one-on-one time with God. This Christmas, I'm obsessed with meeting my Maker to seek penance for my past crimes. I want to pay my karmic debts, so I won't have to live the rest of my life in regret. In my delirium, losing track of time, I realize I'm out of medication. My shoes crunch the frosted sidewalk. My breath coalesces in the crisp morning air as I hurry down the street to the pharmacy. It's early and my pharmacist Ken hasn't arrived yet. I begin to panic. What if he doesn't come? What if his store is closed for the holidays? I try to kill time, but it won't die. To my relief, Ken appears and unlocks the door to let me in. Thank God, Ken, I'm so happy to see you. I've run out of meds. You are my savior. I hand Ken my prescription and wait as he divvies up my pills into the blister pack. As I head out the door, nausea overcomes me. The smell of diesel fuel makes me want to vomit. Perhaps I accidentally ingested traces of diesel oil while I took my last dose of vitamins when I forgot to clean my dirty fingers. My heart beats against my chest like a wild bird trapped in my rib cage. The poison spreads through my circulatory system like black tar. I stagger like a drunk. Ken is alarmed.
Hey, Ken, are you okay, man?
No, I've been poisoned. Somebody help me. Ken doesn't know what to do. I stagger out of the pharmacy. I need to get to a hospital as fast as possible, but I don't have enough money for a cab, so I lumber onto a bus. My destination, St. Paul's Hospital Emergency Ward. A few minutes later, I'm sitting on the bus, the poison pounding through my veins, trying to keep it all together, when I notice that the poison is only affecting the left half of my body. This is the side of my body in which my father's spirit resides.
Visual of Kagan's father, half of his body projected onto Kagan's left side.
And he's dying. I can feel him dying. They claim Christ is within us. Buddha is within us. My father is the closest person I know to God. So why is it so strange to believe that his soul resides in the better half of me? I hear my father's voice plead with me.
I'm old. I'm tired. Let me die in peace.
I refuse to let him go. My right hand takes my left hand to comfort my father. Instead of easing his suffering, I increase it because I'm holding on to him so tightly. I'm strangling the life out of him. I can feel the life force drain from his body to mine. I'm killing him by not letting him die. I'm trying not to let my panic show, but I'm wheeling and rocking in my seat, and the other passengers all move away from me. I feel I'm on the verge of a heart attack. My heart chakra and my solar plexus is an overheating engine choking black smoke. I hit the emergency alarm, scramble off the bus, and stagger into a corner store to buy a cold bottle of water. I chug the water down my throat, trying to douse the fire in my belly as it rages out of control. Where am I? Where am I? Broadway and Boulevard? Okay. My eyes search frantically for a bus stop. Then, I remember, there are no buses that cross the Broad Street Bridge, so I'm forced to walk to St. Paul's by foot. I limp like a tortoise as my youthful half tries to drag my reluctant father along. My father is begging me to let him die.
I'm tired. Let me rest.
But I'm relentless. I just keep walking. As I do, I hear God's voice berating me.
Stop it. You are killing your father.
I refuse to give up. If he dies, I'll have nothing left to live for. I can live without God, but I can't live without my father. Exhausted, I stop to catch my breath. I lean on the railing of the bridge for support. A few years ago, I made a secret pact with God that once my parents pass away, I'd have no reason to live. I choose suicide in order to be my father's guide and caretaker in the next life. That thought begins to bubble in my mind, and then suddenly, my father explodes into flames.
Visuals and sound effects of Kagang's father consumed by flames.
I climb up on the railing, and I'm standing now, looking down. The sea sparkles like a diamond tiara as I spin on the roulette wheel of Samsara. I want to extinguish my father's anguish. I turn back to see the world one last time. The day is annoyingly cheerful. The traffic zooms past, oblivious to my plight. I'm one insignificant man in an overpopulated planet of 6 billion suffering souls contemplating death. Falling from grace, falling from the face of the earth into oblivion. I walk the tightrope in my head. One false step, and I'm dead.
Visuals and sound effects of the father fade out.
I feel an aching emptiness on the left side of my body. He's gone. Eventually, I move away from the seduction of the ledge, avoiding the void. I'm too much of a coward to take my own life. As hard as I try, I don't really want to die. As I near the hospital, dark smoke turns into ashen gray, polluting the air of the dull downtown cityscape. My father's spirit is gone. I've sapped his strength till there's nothing left except ashes billowing in the wind. I have committed the greatest sin. Dear God, I've killed my father. At the hospital, I check myself into the psych ward. I sit in the waiting room as the nurses and doctors ignore me. I feel somewhat ridiculous sitting in the emergency ward amongst the visibly sick, for on the surface nothing seems to be wrong with me. The nurse who's admitting me tells me this is my 8th hospitalization in 9 years. Dr. Barriers greets me.
Do you have thoughts of harming yourself?
I almost jumped off the Broad Street Bridge.
I'm sorry. I'm obliged to inform you that you're now being held involuntarily under the Mental Health Act. The reason for your incarceration is that you pose a danger to yourself and others.
Some immeasurable time later, I'm shaken awake in the quiet room. A nurse beckons me to the phone. It is a long-distance phone call from my mother in Mexico.
Kagan, are you okay? I'm coming back as soon as I can.
Mom, is Dad okay?
Yes, he's here. Do you want to speak to him?
Yes, please.
Hello, Kagan. Are you all right?
My father's ghost talks to me from halfway across the world. Never before have been so glad to be mad.
Music, sound effects, and visuals fade up at the psych ward. Jagged, rapidly pulsing images, sound, and music.
Eventually, I moved from the quiet room into a bed in the general psych ward. I keep to myself. I spend most of my time curled up in the corner, scared of my fellow crazy inmates who roam the corridors of the psych ward, screaming and shouting, grappling with their hallucinatory demons. I chew my fingernails until they are raw. A female nurse wraps band-aids around my fingers to prevent me from biting my nails. When she is gone, I unwrap the band-aids and paste one horizontally and one vertically on the window to form a crucifix.
Music calms. Light floods the room.
The afternoon sun is like the presence of God in this room, the voluminous light of grace and benevolence. The brilliant white light floods the room through the refracted glass of the window, showering me with a billion tiny rainbows. Overwhelmed, I lay down my arms in surrender. The light recedes from the room and retreats through the window.
The light fades away.
Suddenly, an intruder is at my door, trying to break in. My heart pounds in fear as the banging goes louder and louder. I pray for God to protect me. I send a signal of distress. This is a spiritual emergency. SOS, SOS, SOS. Lord, I pray help me get well. I'm trapped in a cell on the dark side of hell. SOS, SOS, SOS. The door is broken open. It's not an intruder at all. It is God come to answer my call.
Music fades up under the following.
My name in Chinese means hero or warrior. Hero is a tall order to live up to. It makes me blush and feel like a braggart that is boasting too much. And I hate the word warrior for I abhor war. But not all warriors are warmongers. I am a peaceful warrior, a warrior of the heart. But truth be told, I've been at odds with God, torn between the opposing forces of faith and fury. For God must be cruel and unjust to have cursed me with this incurable affliction, this life sentence of no parole. Deep inside, I believe I must have committed some terrible crime to deserve this punishment. I'm angry at the world and feel what most people take for granted. A wife, kids, a family, a normal life is denied to me. I feel like a leper, an outcast, a pariah dog, lost in the fog of my own monologue, abandoned and alone without a place to call home. I'm an unrepentant sinner, a blasphemer tempting fate, provoking the Lord, walking alone down the open road towards the brooding storm clouds, praying for a lightning bolt to strike me down and finish me off. I take the word crazy and give it a positive spin, proclaiming proudly, I'm crazy about life. Only I'm allowed to call myself crazy, the way only blacks are allowed to use the word nigger. I'm a flaming, out of the closet, born again manic depressive. If I'm gonna be labeled the stigma, I might as well wear it like a tattoo, a brand mark making a bold statement. I'm mad and proud of it. I refuse to be typecast as the stereotypical mentally ill person. I want to dispel the myth that crazy people are a danger and menace to themselves in society. Deep inside, I'm ashamed to confess that I feel superior, wrongly thinking that I am not like the other manic depressives. I'm balanced and strong. I've got my act together. That is all it is, an act. But I'm tired of punching mirrors, tired of walking barefoot on broken glass, tired of blaming the world for being unfair, wrongly thinking society doesn't care. I'm tired of being the victim, of playing the martyr. I'm tired of this chip on my shoulder the size of the rock of Gibraltar. Tired of making a spectacle of my suffering, comparing battle scars of other veterans, tired of fighting World War after World War in my head, of trying to keep a strong front all the time, and I'm sick to death of my self-pity. Now I'm taking on the responsibility that no one, not God, not my family, not my friends, no one but myself can save me. I am a weary warrior, weighed down by the muck and mire. Nothing is forged without a fire. But one thing I am learning, staying in the fire only gets me burnt. I put on the suit of armor for protection, trying to prove to the world that I am strong. You can't hurt or destroy me, for I am indestructible. The audacity of a stuck-up fool's immodesty. Like Lenin cried, one thing you can't hide is when you're crippled inside. I needed this armor to protect me. Now I'm trapped in it like an Iron Maiden. Being open, I let joy and pain in. Being closed, I only shut the joy. Being closed, I only hold the pain in and shut the joy out. Now I want to let in light and let my spirit soar. Don't want to be a prisoner of my mind anymore. I want to lay down the sword, stop fighting with God, make amends and become friends with myself, love myself back to health. I'm taking down the barbed wire around my heart, crossing no man's land, past the landmines in my mind. I wave a white flag ordering a ceasefire. Climbing out of the muddy trenches, I take off this rusted armor to stand naked to the elements. The heat, the cold, the wind and the rain. I swear this is the war to end all wars. Never again will I subject my brain to self-inflicted pain again. I raise my arms in surrender, befriending the enemy within. I embrace both the joy and the strife that is part and parcel of a fully lived life. Transcended trauma, survived samsara. Now I want to enjoy peace in nirvana by embracing the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Shed the old skin of suffering to reveal the new skin of healing within.
The music shifts, and a large photo of Kagan appears. The photo speaks to him. It's partly his voice, partly his father's, and partly God's. As it does, he crosses closer and closer to the photo.
Will you, Kagan, take care of yourself? Be responsible for your mental health? Love yourself unconditionally, in wellness and in sickness, through good times and bad, till death do you part.
I will.
You may kiss eternity's lips.
He kisses his lips in the photo.
Amen.
Thank you. We have some house like, yeah, thanks. That's great. We'd love to hear any comments or questions that you have on what you've heard, any reaction to what you've seen and experienced tonight.
What was your experience reading it tonight?
Nerve-wracking,
Yeah?
exciting,
Yeah?
a bit of both. But I mean, I fictionalized some elements for dramatic purposes, but most of it is based on, you know, as
Your life, yeah?
my life.
I had I think 3 or 4 comments. One was, I felt pretty much connected with you during your reading. I was wondering if I could ask you, you know, you mentioned referencing God a few times. You're referencing your spiritual experiences, you know, in terms of whether they're hallucinations or whether they're visions. Mostly it seems like you're saying they're hallucinations. You reference God from your mind, your ideas of God in terms of being a judge and critical kind of person or being. I was just wondering, so I'm actually, so it leaves me unclear about your spiritual life. I wonder if you have a source of support, inner support that may get lost on when you have an episode or whatever. But just generally speaking, do you feel that? And because in terms of the play, I'm very unclear about what if there is a real, genuine spiritual support that you're experiencing.
It's a good question. One would think that I have a Christian background because I talk so much about God. And I come from a family of free thinkers. We don't really subscribe to any particular religion.
Okay.
If there was a religion that I relate to, I would call it more philosophy, which would be Buddhism.
Oh yeah.
But I consider myself more of a syncretist, which is somebody who picks and chooses from different belief systems, philosophies and religions, and create my own belief system.
Right.
So it's like a composite of different beliefs.
Right. So beliefs that you have about it. Okay. I wanted to just say that there is quite a differentiation between welfare and disability pension. You mention it once. Everyone else is mentioning welfare. It's not the same thing, and it's unclear and it's not accurate. And I'm happy to talk to you about that.
Yeah. Well, I went to the welfare office and I was applying for disability benefits
Right.
at the office, and they were processing my file. So the first step was to go to the welfare office. So it's on Commercial Drive, and I wasn't applying for welfare. I was applying for disability benefits, and they denied it to me
Right.
because I was common law.
Well, I guess I could say that if you want to get disability benefits, then this is obviously not about the play, but the BC Association for Disabilities, who are on West Broadway, there's a lawyer there that gets you to fill in the application.
I went there eventually. That's how I
Oh, then
eventually
you got
got
it. Okay.
disability benefits. When I was on it, I'm no longer on disability benefits.
Okay.
Because I actually have a job as a mental health worker at the Kettle Friendship Society.
Okay, great. At the beginning, I was feeling very in contact with you, and then you talked about the MD little joke thing with your mental disability and your doctor, and then at a certain point you said, "Oh, not my mental disability, my real doctor, my MD doctor." And I felt that was contrived. At least that's probably because of the reading, and it broke my connection with you. I didn't believe it. It just didn't feel real to me.
Okay.
And I'll stop there because my memory's not very good. Wish
Thank
I had
you.
a pen.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
First, thanks everybody for doing that. Great. I really identify with a lot of what you're talking about. Like speaking as somebody who lives with neurodiversity and like lives with a lot of depression and has been within and around institutions to treat that. Like a lot of that brings through, especially it's interesting actually hearing you talk about the spiritual aspect of
tyranny of the rational mind.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely love that. My question for you, I think one of the things that really hits me in listening and observing it is this feeling of isolation. And I wonder if you have thoughts right now on how that would manifest on, like, as you move forward in the production or continuing development of the piece.
Do you mean isolation as a character within the world at the moment, or isolation as an individual actor having so much energy within the piece, or both?
Well, I think some of it is isolation of the individual actor on stage or the individual storyteller, however it is, and then versus having the tension of the two other performers as it's done today. So there's some interaction with the stage manager, for example, and so I'm interested in that relationship. And I'm interested to know if there's a benefit, or if you see a benefit to having, say, like, somewhat of a solo performance, or if it is something that you're looking to develop further with multiple people.
Yeah, I don't know. It really is, we're going to look at both aspects of that. Originally, the vision was to place all of the characters in that audiovisual world as projections of the way he sees the world, being different, but it may move in another way. We'd like to have the opportunity to look at Mike and look at barriers and look at Laurie as possibilities within the piece itself, too. So,
And lighting too, like I know that you're so great at that, but I was wondering, the question popped in my mind was, down the road, would there be lighting that would define particular states? So a certain lighting when there's manicness, a certain lighting when there's, you know, self-awareness, a certain lighting when something like that, or
could be.
Yeah. too early to tell.
Yeah, it depends on how much of the audiovisual world takes over
Right.
at this point, right?
Right.
I mean, the idea of this is really just to put the words out
Yes.
in public and to try to get a response to what we're talking about and how it connects. From here, it's really about pulling back and deciding which way we want to run with it, see which way to go. Yeah, please.
Thank you for sharing this. Quite a powerful story, of course. I was wondering, there were impulses in the script, in the play I've noticed, of talking, of course, to other characters. Most of the time, besides one time, which was a cat, they're all realistic characters. I'm wondering if there's a possibility of speaking to unrealistic characters, like there was the angel. I would love to see if there's a dialogue, if there's possibilities for other nuances of that roller coaster that we were talking about. And the God herself or herself or themselves. So basically, those are the dialogues. I was wondering if there's a possibility of that. Because
sorry.
many times I was hoping for more of the exhilaration, as you mentioned, as opposed to yeah, because there were times that they were what we can call jokes, but I think there could be moments of joy and exhilaration. And I'm wondering how many are there? Like, what's the percentage between, let's say, sorrow, anger, and joy? Like that, the distribution, not to imply it needs to be balanced in any way, but I'm wondering if there's opportunities to have those moments of joy, because they could turn around and actually be a very violent piercing towards me, like the 2001 Odyssey reference, which as you continue, it was quite grotesque to listen to it, enjoy it, but also going through the emotions of, oh my God, why am I enjoying this? What's happening?
Mhm.
And putting us through that, it was quite powerful, I would say.
Great.
Yeah. Sorry. I didn't
No,
mean to-
just absolutely, those relationships are open to be worked with. There's also a point of view where in the original script, the doctor was written to be very harsh and very direct and very quite nasty and a bit of a caricature. And we played around with that and decided that it was actually his response to someone who was trying to help that was the bending of that light, moving it in another way. And that really intrigues me, how that can work, where you get people that are trying to be helpful and trying to be kind, but perceived as being different. It also opens up the possibility of having someone live who's playing it in a particular way, and someone on the screen as the same character who's being seen as being different. So all of those nuances that you're talking about are there. I think the opportunity, yes, absolutely, the dialogue with the angel, a dialogue with God, a dialogue with the fluffy, yappy dog would be really interesting to play around with, to see where those go. What this is drawn from is a series of writings that Kagan had around these topics, and we try to put them in some sort of story format to bring it to this point, and it's just opening the doors to where we could go from here. But I think those are really interesting ideas. Yeah.
Hi.
I'm glad I made it tonight, and I know that I've seen your film, so I know you are a filmmaker.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated the things that we could see and the way that was working in, and then when you, so I could imagine as it goes along. I like that, from hearing your voice and seeing it on the screen. The other thing I really liked were the images, the band-aids, making the process St. Paul's.
I actually saw that when I was in the quiet room and taken to the general psych ward, in this window, which had those refracted rainbows. Somebody had pasted a band-aid horizontally and vertically to form a crucifix. And that was kind of like me coming to terms, making peace of God, because I had been at war with God, blaming God for all my woes, you know, the vengeful God. And that was kind of my making peace of God.
Yes. Yeah.
Hi. Hi, how are you?
At his Surviving Samsara event, I was actually there participating closely with Kegon as stage manager, but I want to say I'm just so grateful to be here and to hear your voice again.
Yes.
It really inspired me in so many levels. I feel like there's some new material that's obviously been presented today or tonight, and I felt like the whole vibe of it, and because I have lived experience with mental health, I also have bipolar, and I'm living with it every day, and it's just, I really can place my feet in Kegon's shoes, and almost like that situation with the crucifix as well. I've had that going on at the hospital as like with the crucifix on every door. I relate to you in so many levels, and I'm just glad to be here and speak for the first time in a year. I'm really overjoyed and thrilled to see it coming together and gelling and flowing as it should be at this point, and I'm really certain that he's going to go along in this production with all of you with such, it's so amazing just to see it, and as an observer of the audience this time. And I'm really thanking you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
It's great
Yes.
to see you, Jujubi.
Yeah, hi again.
Hi, wait.
I thought that there were very powerful moments in the piece. The pharmacist, images with your father, someone with your mother, your partner, and I was hoping somewhere along the line that you would bring in, which has been suggested, more characters. Because I was wondering, is it a play with other characters in it? I mean, you've got 3 other actors on stage, or 3 other beings. very, very close to that kind of mental instability or mental just, I can't handle what's going on, and yet I want to handle. But is it a solo piece? Or can you open it up? And it's very good when you open it up to the pharmacist, and when you open it up, it's very dramatic. Especially the part, with the love interest. That's really powerful stuff. I would say work on that. And I think it's been suggested, talk to the angel, talk to the devil. There's one other point that I want to close is, I do know something about you, and I've been close over the years to your family. Your father was, as you say, was a remarkable man, and he himself was a writer. And that part, I actually thought he was dying. That you were somehow spiritually, or you were going through his death. Something was connecting, and he was dying. And that was very powerful. And your mother, who was an absolutely beautiful woman, I would say, why not bring, this is a very personal piece. If you have the guts, why not bring them more into it? They were marvelous people. And the other thing is knowing a bit about your brothers. There's no mention of them at all. And could you go into somehow trying to connect with,
Well, the years that I'm dealing with in this segment of the play, Kajin and Kakim were living in Montreal, and my main support system were my parents. Literally, not just my partner had left me, but most of my friends had abandoned me. They just walked away. They didn't want to have anything to do with me, and I was sleeping 16 to 20 hours, gained 60 pounds, and wasn't able to go to school or do anything except maybe write. That was my outlet. So in this window of this story, my brothers don't figure into it because they weren't there. They were spending several years in Montreal at that time, doing the worst part of my first 14 years of my diagnosis. So that's the reason why they don't figure into the story here.
But to pick up on what you're saying, it would be interesting to know that they were there by their absence. We don't know that they're absent at this point. We don't know that they exist, right? So to be able to find a way to have them brought in at some point and then recognize their absence in that situation lends weight to it in a whole other way.
I mean, I've seen you with them at Trout Lake. There was a ceremony.
Yeah.
And there were the three brothers, is it three?
4
Two?
of us all together.
Yeah. So that's why I know there's something outside of your own realm, your own sphere. You do touch base on the parents.
Yeah.
And it's very beautiful in many ways. And certainly you know better your father than any of us in the audience, and your connection there with an artist, with a doctor. I mean, he was a poet.
Yeah.
So, as complicated as this is, bringing them more into it, I think because it's very powerful. The whole pharmacy thing is just like, you don't know what's going to happen. Will the door open? Will he be there for you? What's he going to be like? Is he going to be nasty? Is he going to be a typical store owner who says, I'm not open at the moment? And yet, there's a drama. You've got to get, you want your medication. So what I'm saying is, it's dramatic and you've got the talent. I would say explore it more through dramaturgy, through the marvelous. You've got marvelous actors on stage, Jaden. You really do. Boy, you got a supportive cast. Let me tell you.
Thank you.
Lucas?
Yes, this idea of exploring what's not only what's happening but what's not happening. I mean, I was just very affected just now as you said all your friends abandoned you. Your relationship breakup, but not just that, but all your friends. I mean, terrible wounding, which I'm sure, had a big impact on you. I wanted to say about Lori that, one of the things that I really liked, I really think it's a rich play. I don't know if I said that to you. It's very rich. But the impact of love, regardless of what kind of love it is, it seemed from what you read was a powerful influence on you in those moments, a stabilizing influence perhaps, and it was, and then you became, for a short time in your reading, you became selfless. It wasn't about you, it was about her, what you would do for her. You would sacrifice, you would do whatever it was, and for her. And so, so the attention was off you and your situation and everything, and I found that refreshing. And it would be interesting to explore love more. Your parents loved you, they were unconditionally supportive of you and all of that, and there's this Lori person. And then afterwards, then you made it about yourself again, about, being her, you guys be together, and so the fantasy or whatever, it was about both of you. But I really, really like the thread of love.
Thank you.
Yeah, Alan?
I'm curious as to whether you in the audience can find a relationship to your reaction to the piece. Part of it comes from Kagan being the author, not only the author, but the liver, and not only that, but the actor today. And could you put your mind in a place where Kagan was not the actor today and was simply played by someone else, played by Cheryl or by anyone else? And would that make an influence on your heart or your mind in terms of a response? And I have no idea what.
Yeah, because there was one point, one of the challenges I found in acting the piece is the medications take out the highs and the lows, and they kind of flatline me emotionally. And you might have noticed that I sometimes have a bit of a flat affect, especially in a monotone kind of voice. I had to literally try to modulate the tone of my voice and give it fluctuations and different, but even that was challenging. And I didn't know whether I could even live up to playing my own role in this piece, and I considered at one point bringing in somebody else with more acting chops who might be able to do it justice, So that's the question, that's where it's coming from.
There's a lot of emotional content in the play. Your early times yet, and you got a great director, so I would just explore that. You'll know, but there is emotional content there certainly you weren't reaching yet, but that's not to say you can't.
This raises a really interesting topical question in the theater right now, which is what roles do we have the right to play? And where do we step into somebody else's story? And there's a whole debate going on around that, which is not just the Indigenous debate, but a debate around a lot of other things going on. And it leads one path down a long way down that path to, do we really have to cast the psychopathic multi-murderer as a psychopathic multi-murderer, or can we agree that as a human being we might be able to find that in our imagination? It's a very interesting challenge in the theater and in film and television right now, the way casting is moving. And that's part of what Kagan and Alan are talking about. Yes, please.
So what I did want to say is that when you were in the beginning, when you were on the screen up there, and then you were there as well, so then I was watching what was up there, which was horrible, and then watching you and thinking, I could feel the sadness in you, and then you started talking, and then that sort of released everything, so it was nice to see that it was you. That made it very strong for me.
One more question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Talking about having someone else do what Kagan does or did, I don't think that person could have brought that raw emotion to the whole play unless they sat with him and felt all that emotion.
Yeah.
And I know that Kagan loved his mother. I've known him for a while, and he always talks about his mother, and it would be nice if he brought her in a little more as well.
Yeah, sorry, one. Okay, there's still more, okay, sorry.
I just wanted to thank the four of you on stage. Tonight's a very powerful gift. I've seen you work an earlier version of this last year, Kagan. The collaborative work and the fusing of genius is very evident. And congratulations on having moved it another infinite mile forward. Very strong stuff, really compelling. I kept wanting the audio-visual stuff to be more immersive.
Yep.
I wanted you to be in the center of it. Is that the way you're envisioning it?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Eventually, the screen may be all the way around the audience, the sound
Yeah.
may be all the way around the audience. But this is done
This is
very
sketch.
inexpensively
It's a sketch.
to try to put out an idea to see where we might go and test it out.
Lovely sketch.
Jordan's created those pieces with a baby in one arm in about 3 weeks. So it's been a really an interesting challenge to get to where we are with it all. But it is absolutely about yes and, right? This is just the beginning of something we want to lean into.
Although let's make the point that raising a 3-day-old infant is a journey into madness in itself. So he's kind of cheating here.
Yeah.
Is this an appropriation of roles?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Last question, please.
Well, that was not a question. It's in response to what you asked about casting. Before you all came on stage, there was a music playing, and with respect to the singer, my girlfriend mentioned I'm trying to figure out if I like what she's doing as a singer or not. I'm sure I really should. I basically was thinking, and I said to her that I'm wondering, she sounds so perfect. I could enjoy some distortion here, like an accent, or I don't know, like something that, because she was really capable, talking of acting chops. It was so perfect. It's almost too perfect then. And then I'm like, well, I'm wondering, it's just, I don't know, it's just not hitting. Not hitting. Yeah. That's
Good.
all. Yeah.
Sorry, one more.
Just one
Yeah,
more.
Jack. Yeah.
One more.
Hi.
I just wanted to say that I think it would be a good exercise to just have someone else do your part and have a real good dialogue between you and the other actors. You might bring different angles, with different perspectives, more objective perspective, as opposed to you being right in the whole piece, the center of it. So yeah, definitely I think at least exploring a different actor, at least to get different perspectives to guide you in the evolution of this piece, I think would be a good idea.
Like a rehearsal exploration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
really fun. Really fun.
It's different when you're right into it, but if you're watching from a distance, it gives you perspective. It gives you
Thank you.
different ideas that you can expand on.
Thank you all for being here. Please join us for a glass of wine and a piece of cheese outside. We'd love to see you. Thank you. Okay.